2020 Hungarian Grand Prix. Will Buxton with you as always, and I'm delighted to be joined. You may not recognise him under the mask, but it is, of course, Mercedes reserve driver, former F1 driver full-time, Stoffel Vandoorne. Stoffel, a cracking race today for Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton, a winner again, and we so nearly had the rain, but those first 20 laps especially, absolute thrill fest.
Yeah, thanks, Will, for having me on the show today. It was quite an entertaining race, especially in the beginning when when it was wet to start with. I think everyone was kind of hoping to have a little bit more rain in the middle of the race. It was very close at some point. We didn't get it, and in the end, solid race.
It really was. Lewis Hamilton, of course, was on pole position with an incredible run in quali yesterday. Converted that for the second week in a row into a crushing, dominant display on track to take the win from Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. Those final few laps, Bottas chasing down Verstappen, couldn't quite do enough.
Yeah, no, just I think was missing 1 or 2 laps to get it done. If you remember, a couple of years ago, Mercedes did the same with Lewis to chase Max and actually made it stick for the last couple of laps. Lewis won that race. They tried the same with Valtteri today to create a tire delta because we felt like on the same age of tires we were probably just not going to be able to make it past, and we were probably just missing 1 or 2 laps to probably get him.
Absolutely. It was a great race today. We've given you the top 3, Hamilton, Verstappen and Bottas. Behind them, though, I don't know if he's still there. There he is being interviewed at the back. Lance Stroll, P4. Best result so far this year for the Racing Points. Perez getting bogged down a little bit at the start, but I think we really saw for the first time the pace that Racing Point has.
Yeah, exactly. I think Racing Point, they've got a great car. They've been doing really well. Qualified on the second row with both cars, and I think they've just been a little bit unlucky with the weather recently. I think in Austria, when it was raining, they struggled a little bit. Today as well in the opening laps, Checo lost a couple of places, didn't quite manage to make it back past. It's it's a difficult circuit to overtake around here, so I don't think we've seen the ultimate best performance of Racing Point yet. I think we can expect more.
We talk about ultimate best performance. Ferrari in a bit of a pickle, let's say, after these first 3 races. Charles Leclerc was on the podium in the opening round in Austria. He was outside of the points today in P11, and I think we can hear from him now.
It's disappointing, but at the end, we just need to work now from. But to be honest, I think there was something wrong in the race. It just doesn't match with the car had in qualifying, but also the day before on Friday, and we haven't changed much. So we'll be looking at the data to see what went wrong, because the car was extremely hard to drive on my side today.
So he's saying the car in the race feels very different to the car he has on Friday. Explain to us, as a racer, how does that happen? How does a car that you have on one day suddenly alter its characteristics through qualifying and into a race?
Yeah, it's funny, and they seem to have struggled with that in the last couple of races as well. I think their car probably is all right, dialed in qualifying trim with lower fuel and fresh tires, and ultimately when you have the new tires, it masks a lot of the problems of the car. So when they come race day, the tires are used, they've got 100 kilos of fuel on board, the car is a lot heavier, feels more lazy. Track conditions today as well were pretty tricky. It was a drying track, a little bit more wind, colder conditions as well. So all of these little things can make it so tricky, because these cars are so sensitive.
As you said, Charles Leclerc, P11, out of the top 10. Your race winner, though, as we check through our classified standings at the end of the 2020 Hungarian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton, your race winner. From Max Verstappen in P2 and Valtteri Bottas in 3rd. Verstappen back on the podium, and a great run from him. We'll talk about what happened to him pre-race and the amazing turnaround from Red Bull Racing. But in 4th place, it was Lance Stroll. 5th place for Alex Albon. We will talk about this as well, because he may yet lose that 5th place. 6th place for Sebastian Vettel. We'll hear from him later. 7th for Sergio Perez. 8th for Daniel Ricciardo, 9th Kevin Magnussen. What a run from Haas, and a brilliant, bold strategy from them. And in 10th place, Carlos Sainz. In fact, we're going to hear from Kevin Magnussen when we come out of these results. 11th place, Charles Leclerc, Danny Kvyat in P12, then Lando Norris 13th, Ocon 14th, Romain Grosjean 15th, if you can hear me above the helicopter, Raikkonen in 16th, Giovinazzi in 17th, then Russell Latifi, Gasly, your only retirement of the day. Perfect timing, Kevin, thanks for turning up. Do they want to go away? Kev, you guys rolled the dice. You played a brilliant strategy, you finished in the points, what a brilliant race.
Absolutely. I mean, the team took an amazing decision in the beginning. You know, the only team to call us in and swap for slick tires before the race start. So, you know, all down to them today. They made a fantastic, you know, opportunistic choice at the beginning there. And also, you know, really thankful for them giving us that trust, you know, to put us onto that tire in those conditions. It wasn't easy. And then from there, the car just worked perfectly, much better than anticipated. We were able to pull a gap to the Ferrari and also, you know, keep the gap to McLaren on new tires. So not keep the gap, but, you know, keep it behind at least. And just a real big team effort today.
I know it's been a really difficult opening couple of races for you, for the whole team. What does this mean to you guys to actually get some points at the end of it? It's something to show for all the hard work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the team has been through a pretty rough time. I know all teams have, but, you know, especially Haas have, you know, it's a small team, small organization, and, you know, to come back like this and get a result, you know, with a car that can only qualify, you know, at the top of Q1. I think it goes to show what an amazing job the team did today, and, you know, what an opportunistic effort it was today.
Great job, man. Really well done. Delighted for you guys. Thanks, Stuart. Brilliant job by Haas today. At one point running, what was it, 3rd and 4th on track, on merit, because they rolled the dice. In case folks haven't seen it already, the track was wet at the start of the race. Haas decided to pit before the start of the race, came in at the end of the formation lap, chucked on some dry tyres, and boom, when everybody came into pit, they were running 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, exactly. A really bold move by Haas by, you know, pitting before the race had even started. I thought, you know, we were going to see some cars with slicks already earlier on the grid, but, you know, they rolled the dice. They didn't lose a full pit stop. It was tricky to keep the car on track in the beginning, but they made it work, and, you know, they got a couple of points out of it.
They really did. One guy who got more than a couple of points today is this guy, Lance Stroll. I mean, guy, it was so close to a podium, but 4th place. What a huge haul of points for the team.
Yeah.
You guys must be delighted.
Yeah, very happy. What's going on, Stoffel? How you doing, man?
Good. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a great race. We had a great start on the Inter, which was a relief. You know, you never really know on a wet start how you're going to get off the line. So that was good. Slotted into P2 early on in the race. And then the track was drying up very quickly, so we had to make a call to come in and fit the dry tires. I think we might have done it a lap too late because we were overtaking some slower cars after that first stint. And then unfortunately towards the end we were in a good place, hanging in there in 3rd, and we expected some more rain to come, so we stayed out longer. And Valtteri pitted early and undercut us, and the rain never came. So by the time we pitted, he was, you know, 7-8 seconds up the road. And that was kind of where we lost the podium, but all in all, still a great result by the team. Conditions today, it can go either way, you know, in terms of strategy. So I think we did a great job. We had a great package all weekend, strong pace, and, you know, great points for the team.
From what we've seen now, from this car, from you, from the team in race conditions, have you got the confidence that this is the race pace of the car, this is where you should be, and 4th, 3rd, this is the area that Racing Point should be occupying now?
I hope so. You know, this weekend we were definitely the 2nd quickest car. I strongly believe that. I haven't looked back at the race. I'm not sure how Red Bull's pace was, but you know, in qualifying we were definitely the 2nd quickest car, and hopefully that will be the case on more circuits.
Brilliant job. I know you're going to want to go and celebrate with the team because it's been such hard work for everyone these 3 weeks. We'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
well done
guys.
to everybody. Wish them our congratulations. What a story. Racing Point, those pink cars are rapid.
They are extremely fast, and, you know, they locked out the second row of the grid yesterday in qualifying. We haven't yet seen a straightforward race, so we don't know exactly what they are worth in a normal race condition where they can just run the decided strategy they want to do. Today was tricky again with the rain, and yeah, I think Lance got very close to a podium again.
Very much so, and it's worth pointing out, folks, that Renault are likely to petition, to protest Racing Point once again until we have an answer over their brake ducts following the Hungarian Grand Prix. They're likely to protest them at every single race until we know whether those things are legal or not. So the results for them will be in the balance until we know that. Now, we've heard from Charles Leclerc. finished P11. He was overtaken for the final point of the day by the guy who will be his teammate next year. That's Carlos Sainz. Let's hear from him now.
Not quite. I think a point is not what we wanted, especially after such a strong start. We were again up to P8, P7, something like that, and we missed out again in the pit stop. We had a very slow release from the box, not to the fault of our team, just a lot of traffic in the pit lane, and we lost a lot of positions there, and we had to recover back to the points, but still not. The balance was not ideal in the race. Balance hasn't been ideal the whole weekend. And it's just a matter of now analysing it and see where we can come back stronger in Silverstone.
Great to hear from Carlos. Now, we can talk about this in a little bit, but it's not just here on the grounds at the track who are going to be bringing you some insights. We also want to take you back to the studio because before this race even began, one of the moments that could have turned the entire thing on its head occurred on the way to the track. Rosanna Tennant and Sam Collins to bring it all to you.
Thanks, Will. Yes, we have to go way back to even before the race for that incredible moment where Max Verstappen lost control of his car. What led to that loss of control, Sam?
Well, rain, essentially. Max hit the curbs a little bit too hard and lost at the back end and tried to catch it, but there wasn't enough runoff and he put it in the wall. I was astonished because I didn't think he'd be able to get that car through it. I mean, it was absolutely sensational that he managed to even keep it going out of the wall there.
We saw the mechanics obviously working furiously trying to get the car fixed. That's all legal to be able to work on the car on the grid like that?
Well, I was wondering because they brought the car onto the grid rather than to the pit lane because the pits were closed at that point. And I thought, oh, that's a pit lane start for sure if they can even recover that. I thought he'd break the wishbone for sure when he hit the wall like that. But they brought it to the grid, started working on it, rebuilt the whole front end of that car in a sort of thing you don't normally see in Formula One. You expect that in endurance racing, and got the wheels back on with 35 seconds to spare before the cut-off came in and they would have got a penalty. Astonishing.
How did Max then go out there and push the car to the limit and have such a fantastic start when you're not quite sure whether the car's been bolted back together properly?
Well, I think that is something I say about a lot of racing drivers, is when you're in that situation, you must have a lack of imagination when you get off the grid like that and you don't know if your left front is bolted together properly. It's absolutely incredible.
Another point just to mention is, of course, Alex Albon with the drying of the pit box on the grid. Going to look into that.
Absolutely, there's a protest or perhaps a steward's moment at the moment because Red Bull broke the sporting regulations by doing that, so we haven't found out, but I think there's going to be a penalty.
Okay, I just have to say incredible work, guys. That's unbelievable. Thank you very much.
Really good to hear Max being so thankful towards his mechanics there to work so quickly. Of course, it's been a long few weeks. Everybody is tired. There's a lot of fatigue in the paddock. We've raced and raced and raced. And then to put it in the wall, it was very nice to hear Max Verstappen thanking the mechanics like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I know we have the Formula One Driver of the Day award. Actually, if I was in charge of that award, I'd be awarding it to the Red Bull mechanics because that was such a brilliant job to pull that together. And then for the race to go on so well, you know, the team to race up to second position, again, in adversity, because the Mercedes was the faster car, frankly, and that was just a great job from the pull the car together, put it back on the grid and get a podium finish. That is that's earning your money as a mechanic.
And just to double check, the scrutineering element around that car being built, was there somebody from the FIA checking that everything was being done according to the regulations?
There should have been, is my answer to that. I didn't see anybody on the video doing it, but I'm pretty sure somebody would have been having a little eye on it. But I don't think there was any chance of breaking regulations, but get everything aligned and safe was the real question there, but they seem to manage it.
In some changeable conditions as well, working in some drizzle as we had at the Hungaroring. So an impressive start to the race, or even pre-start to the race for Max Verstappen and his mechanics. But wow, what a result as well. Who would have thought that when half the front of his car was hanging off on the track?
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing stuff for Max to even make the start of the race. Now, we are actually positioned by the steward's office. I think Ed's actually already on Jonathan Wheatley, who's standing outside the stewards waiting to see them. They're due to go in at well, actually 2 minutes ago. Jonathan's just come out for that infringement, potential infringement over the drying of that grid slot. Stoffel, that is illegal, isn't it, to dry the grid slot, to give you better traction off the line. It's heavily frowned upon, could even result in a disqualification, we believe.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, I didn't see it happening myself, obviously, so someone must have seen it and yeah, given it a protest. So I guess it's up to the stewards to decide now.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex was just behind us talking to the press. He had such a great day as well after that disappointment in qualifying. He really knuckled down and had to give it his all today. And there was one point he was just asking the team, I need more power, give me more power. Is he not getting the same, do you think, as maybe Max is getting out of that car?
I mean, I think he's getting the same, but obviously his qualifying was compromised massively yesterday, and it just makes it so much more difficult when you're starting so far to catch up, especially around a circuit like here in Budapest, where it's probably the most difficult one to overtake. He just needed that little bit extra to get past a couple of cars, and yeah, ultimately finished P5 and still a solid amount of points.
Rosanna and Sam were talking about this, but for you as a driver, when you've made that kind of a mistake going to the grid and your team can pull out something like that to rebuild the car, what does that do for you? Like your motivation going into a race, just when you know, and particularly coming at the end of these 3 weeks, boys haven't had a day off in 3 weeks, everyone's absolutely exhausted, and they pull that kind of a thing out on the grids. You've got to give them a race of your life after that, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess they'll be happy after today with Max being on the podium. I think probably a little bit unexpected after a disappointing qualifying for them, and then yeah, for sure, I think the moods were probably quite low when they saw Max going into the wall on the formation lap to the grid. So yeah, an incredible job to be able to repair that car and be ready 20 seconds or something before.
Before 20 seconds before the 5-minute cutoff.
Before the 5-minute cutoff. So yeah, very close call, and yeah, good to see they've converted into a podium.
Right. We've heard about Max Verstappen. We'll be hearing from him and the top 3 a little later in the show with a bit of luck. But now let's hear from Alex Albon. Tough race for him today, proper fighting, but a race where he may yet lose his result. Let's hear from him now.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think we actually must really need to understand why the race car was so much better than the qualifying car. Because yeah, the car was really good. I think we spent the whole race in traffic, so the moments we did have clear air, we were very competitive. So it is a weird scenario, but at the same time, obviously, we're not going to complain about it. I think it shows there's potential in the car. We just need to understand where it is. But yeah, had good fun out there. Saw a lot of red rear wing, but it was good fun.
Now, come with us because this is happening right now. Red Bull are trying to prove to the stewards exactly what happened on the grid. They're actually putting the blowers down to try and show them and how much they're actually drying the asphalt. You've got Derek Warwick there, the driver's steward. The steward's just taking a look at them. It appears what happened was they were left on the grid, but they were left on. And by leaving them on, the effect of all of that wind blowing is then drying the track underneath it. So they're trying to prove with wet asphalt, and it's got to be said that's a very different type of asphalt than the asphalt you get on the racetrack. It's completely different. The asphalt on the track it holds its moisture, and actually it was very warm out on track as well. I put my hand down on the track before you started, and it was 28 degrees, I think, track temp before the race started.
It was quite warm before the race, actually, but yeah, like you said, very different tarmacs between the pit lane and this area than what the surface of the circuit is. So I don't know, they seem like they're testing out what it's doing.
Well, there you go. We're seeing them arguing their case live in front of your eyes on F1 Live post-race show here in Budapest. Now, one guy who started outside the points but had another typical battling race we always expect him to put on his show. It's a circuit he loves. He's got a few points for his troubles today, but he was expecting a lot more. Let's hear from him, though. Daniel Ricciardo.
I knew we were going to, catch the guys in front, but yeah, as you get quicker and as you close in, also you start to then suffer a little bit of the dirty air effect, and also the tyres aren't getting any newer, so a little bit tricky to get really close and make a real impact, but nonetheless pretty happy to get some points. I think the pace we showed was good, so a lot of positives to take.
Yeah, Daniel loves this place, but I think not the weekend that they wanted overall. They just didn't make that step up into qualifying that everybody else did, and that really left them on the back foot. But talking about being on the back foot, Williams had a brilliant qualifying and came through the Q2 on merit. They've had an astonishing couple of weekends, particularly George Russell. But in the race again today, zero pace. The car just dropped like a stone. They finished 18th and 19th. A really tough day for Williams.
Yeah, very difficult day for them after, you know, a really positive day yesterday for them again. Both cars into Q2, first time since, I can't remember, 2018 somewhere.
Yeah,
probably.
something like that, yeah.
2018 somewhere. Yeah, and you know, they've definitely improved their qualifying pace. They are definitely on the way up, but they've got to sort out their race days.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicholas Latifi, it's only his third Formula One Grand Prix. We shouldn't be too harsh on him, but he had I don't want to say a shocker, but it was a hard day at the office for Nicholas Latifi today. Let's hear from him now.
It just came undone in the pit stop. I thought I was releasing into a clear fast lane, and yeah, clearly it wasn't. And got the puncture and sustained quite a lot of floor damage from just bringing the car back to the pits as the tire unraveled. So it was really a handful to just keep the car on the track. I thought we were probably going to have to retire, to be honest. But yeah, anyways, still really a lot of positives to take from yesterday. Just got to reset going into Silverstone.
A difficult race then for Nicholas Latifi, and that moment really made it no easier for him. What's it like when the team says go in the pit lane? You don't look left or right, do you? You just go.
Yeah, when the team says go, you got to go because you're reacting to the lights, and whatever the light says, you have to go. You can look a little bit, but usually by the moment you look, it was already too late. So I think, yeah, it's one of those incidents. It happens every now and then, and yeah, I wouldn't really blame too much on Nicholas.
Now, there were a lot of thrills and spills in this Grand Prix, some great battles, some great overtakes, and Rosanna and Sam, oh, you know what, we were going to go to the studio, but I'm going to hold you off for just a couple of minutes, because Gunther Steiner, we just heard from Kevin and how delighted he is for the whole team after a difficult first couple of races. Inspired decision to bring them in right at the start. At what part, actually, of the formation lap did you take that choice?
I mean, first of all, I think the team did a great job and bring them in, and then Kevin drove a great race. You know, it was fantastic. You know? But he came almost automatic. You know, he said, "Oh, I've got the wet ones on. This doesn't work. Let's come in for dries." And then Romain was, "Yeah, I go as well." You know, and then we just said, "Come in and we try something different," because when you start in these positions there, if you don't do anything different, or you're not going anywhere, as we all know. So I think that was a great move, but there was not one guy saying, let's do this. It was just consequences. Okay, let's do this one. And everybody agreed, and so it was done.
They say fortune favours the brave. You were certainly that today, but you needed your drivers to put in a great performance as well. Neither one of them really looked like they put a foot wrong.
No, exactly. I mean, in theory, we should have, or with hindsight, we could have come in a little bit earlier to change the tires, but there was the danger of rain coming at that time. So we said we don't want to mess it up now, even if we lose 1 or 2 positions because of that. It's better than risk it all and then have to come in again for rain tires. So it was pretty good.
And it's been 3 hard weeks. I know the boys and girls haven't had a day off in 3 weeks. What does this do for the team? After, you know, Austria was disappointing for you guys, but to have this result, to get points to go home with, what does it mean?
I think it means a lot to everybody. As you say, I mean, during the shutdown, people were furloughed, then you come back and the performance isn't there, and now all of a sudden, after 3 weeks of hard work, we go back home with points. I think it's well deserved for the guys, but yeah, but as you say, we were fortunate as well, but we took the risk and we made the gain.
Great stuff, Gunther. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it, man. Enjoy the next few days off. Of course, they're not going to take any time off now. It'll be straight back on it before we go to the next race at Silverstone. Now, I was about to throw to the studio so that Rosanna and Sam can take us through some of the battles on track, which they found the most interesting in today's Hungarian Grand Prix.
Thanks, Will. I think Gunther Steiner probably pipped Sam and me to the post on that one.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, completely.
I think that's okay. We'll let it go. Let's talk about Charles Leclerc. He mentioned in his interview a little earlier on about how difficult the car was to drive today and how he wasn't enjoying it during the race. But it did give us some great battles. Him taking on the McLarens, of course, not coming out on top for him. What impressed you about that battle between Charles Leclerc and Norris to start with?
Well, Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc have been playing around during lockdown, racing each other on computer games. So they've been doing the esports competitions, the official ones and the unofficial ones, and it's been really exciting to watch them battling. But they carried it on track today, and it was really the McLarens versus Charles Leclerc all day for the entire race, and it was absolutely fantastic how close they managed to come together. And then if you look at when they're running together, you can just see it's like these two guys know each other, how they drive, how they work, and as you look, they go down into that left-hander. Look how close they come to each other without actually any contact. That's good, proper motor racing and everything the stewards really want to see. And I just love that sort of stuff, and it's brilliant to see these two guys racing like that and to see that they kept themselves sharp. And I think you wouldn't make some of those moves if you hadn't been playing on esports. Carlos Sainz, similar. Carlos Sainz hasn't been doing the esports as much as Charles Leclerc has, but Leclerc's still battling like it's an esports competition, not a real-world motor race, and it's brilliant to see.
That is super interesting that you think playing online in the esports world has really helped the guys on track. So the likes of Lewis Hamilton, who perhaps doesn't really get involved with esports, perhaps should have a go on the old sim rig.
I completely agree, because I mean, it is hand-eye coordination. It is still the same skill set. Yes, you're dealing with frame rates rather than real life, but actually you're still driving a car. And if the sort of virtual model of the physical model of that car in the computer game or in the simulation is good, then it's all the same skills. So you're keeping sharp, you're keeping practiced, but it also makes you think in a slightly different way as a racing driver, I guess, because you're not really worried about hurting yourself when you're bashing a few pixels.
The exciting thing is we've got more of the battles to come with these three in particular. Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, of course, teammates next year. That's going to be exciting.
I know, and look at the way they race together. Now, give them the identical cars. It's going to almost be like a F2 race. They're going to be wheel to wheel, not quite banging into each other. I can't wait to watch that when they're both in Ferraris. But hopefully those cars are a bit quicker, a bit more competitive and a bit reliable next year when that happens.
Well, we cannot wait to see that. There you go then, Will. A bit of analysis from us in the studio. More of those battles to come, please.
Absolutely loved that. Great racing between those guys today. They were sharing the same duvet, weren't they, at one point? It was brilliant.
Yeah, it looked like they were definitely having fun out there. Yeah, some great battles between Carlos and Charles.
Now, I think it's about time we heard from our podium finishers today. Of course, Valtteri Bottas, who was brought in with, 20 laps to go for another set of hard tyres to really fight after Max Verstappen. He made it back up onto the back of the Red Bull driver, but couldn't quite get it done. Third place on the road today, Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, of course, would have been good to be at least getting through Max in the end, but still some points. I hope this is the worst race of the year. I hope all the rest of the results will be better for me. But again, many things to learn from this weekend, and yeah, we're still in the beginning. Yes, Lewis leads now the championship, but the game is far from being over, so I look forward to the next race.
Valtteri be a little bit disappointed, a little bit upset, of course. After that, he was the championship leader coming into this weekend. There is our race winner today, of course, Lewis Hamilton. What a couple of weekends he's had. Absolutely phenomenal drive for the last 2 weekends. Let's speak, though, to the guy who came home in second place today. I think given the pace that we saw from Mercedes over his last 2 weekends, Max being in second, perhaps unexpected for us. Is it unexpected for him? Let's hear from Max Verstappen.
Andy?
Yeah, it was incredible to even start the race. So after I hit the wall, I thought that was it. So to get out there, and then we had a really good start. We had the right strategy, I think, as well. So I could build a bit of a gap to the guys behind, and yeah, to come home in second was like a victory for us. I definitely didn't expect to be second here today, and of course a big thank you to the mechanics, to be able to repair the car so quickly.
All of which leaves us with just one driver. He just walked through our shot, so we might as well hear from him as well. Lewis Hamilton, Grand Prix winner, pole sitter, man of the moment. Let's hear from him.
And finally, I think this year we've really hit the nail on the head and got all those areas that we were talking about particularly the last 2 years. We got those into this car, and it's been driving so well. Got the balance great, and my job out there is obviously to make no mistakes, which I didn't. But being able to manage the tyres the way that I do, that's something I'm constantly trying to work on. I'm constantly studying how to improve and hone in on that tool that I have. And I think that's why I was able to generally create the gap that I had and get that lap at the end. So but this team just continues to amaze me, and I love working with them, and I'm grateful that I can perform on days, on weekends like this, because yeah, it's a great feeling.
And Silverstone up next, a very
Incredible stuff from Lewis. Quick one with you, Stoffel. You're a part of that Mercedes team. What Lewis is talking about there, the amount of work that has gone into that car, as he said, it might be the best Mercedes he's ever driven. That's got to be terrifying for your rivals, because that car has been brilliant. Now it looks almost unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, the job the team have done over winter, and to still see so much progress after the last couple of years. They've won so many races, won so many championships, but they're still, everyone is still so hungry to keep finding extra performance, and I think they've pulled off something incredible over winter. The car seems really, really good. Let's say if you look at the onboard lap of Lewis yesterday, it's really nailed down, pinned down. He can do exactly what he wants, and yeah, he's switched on as well. So he's he's on it.
He really is on it. Let's take a look at the championship standings at the end of this first triple header of the 2020 Formula One season. Does Valtteri hold on to the championship lead? No, he does not. Lewis Hamilton now leading the championship by 5 points from his teammate, with Max Verstappen in third place on 33 after that disappointing first weekend in Austria. Verstappen really making amends in the last 2 weekends. Lando Norris still fourth place for McLaren, with Albon up in fifth. Of course, that might yet change if he loses his points as a result of today. Good to see Lance Stroll up there as well. The racing points looking very quick. Neither Williams with any points. Disappointing for them after showing promise in qualifying. The Constructors' Championship, Mercedes, of course, will be leading this by quite some margin. Look at that, wow. 3 races, 121 points. My maths is terrible, but even I know that's an average of just over 40 points a weekend. Red Bull now up to second. McLaren and Racing Point equal on points. Now that's interesting after these first 3 races, and shows you just how many points Racing Point have accumulated this weekend. Ferrari 5th. Oof, Ferrari 5th. And I don't think Ferrari are 5th fastest either.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. They've got lucky with the podium they had in Austria. I think they scored the majority of their points there, and now they are. Vettel got what, 5th today, which is still decent, but
it's
I think
scraps,
they're going to require something more to be able to beat the Racing Points or the McLarens even.
Incredible stuff. That's almost all we've got time for. But Stoffel, what are you up to next? Because we're not going to see you at Silverstone, are we?
I won't be in Silverstone, no, because we've got our Formula E races at that time. We've got 6 races in 9 days.
And we thought we had it hard with 3 races in 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, that will be quite something. But I'm really looking forward to finally go back racing and just finish off our current season.
Brilliant stuff, man. Well, we wish you the very best with it. All the best when you get back to racing. But come back. And come back on the show.
I'll be back.
Great stuff, man. Can't wait. Stoffel, thank you for your time, for your insight. Appreciate it. Big thanks, of course, to everyone at home, to Rosanna, to Sam, to Alex Jakes as well on the pre-race show. Got to say a massive thanks to everyone behind the scenes. We've been talking about the teams here and what they've been doing to get the show on the road, to get the racing happening, all the teams here. We're operating on about 1/3 of the people at the track that we are used to. Everyone else back at base in the UK that's bringing you F1 TV. A huge amount of work has gone into these last 3 weeks, and it continues, of course, in Silverstone. Tremendously fun, tremendously proud of everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great opening 3 weeks. We cannot wait to see you all in Silverstone. Not Stoffel, obviously, he won't be there. He'll be racing. But from us, for now, from here in Hungary, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.